morning to all. On behalf of management and automobile department, it's indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome Dr. Jay Krishnan for this webinar. I also welcome all the KCG faculty and students for this webinar on the topic transition and opportunities in online space for students. The main objective of the workshop is we know that more industry and jobs are slowly shifting to online space. As a student, we should prepare themselves how jobs are going to evolve. I hope Dr. Jay Krishnan will discuss from an online platform perspective point of view. I request all the participants to mute your mic and turn off the video. And please post your queries in question section. So before going to the webinar, I like to give a short introduction about today's speaker. Dr. Jay Krishnan is currently working as senior scientist at NPTEL IIT Madras and looking into how the learning analytics can inform the NPTEL operation. Prior to this, he was working as a project research scientist in the Department of CSC, IIT Bombay, for the MOOC platform. At IIT Bombay, he was a part of the design and implementation team for AICT approved faculty development programs. He is a person with keen interest in projects related to using of information and communication technologies for development of education. His area of interest include teacher professional development, learning analytics, sustainability, design-based implementation research. He completed his undergraduate, that is, he completed BTech in Electrical and Electronics Engineering from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, and completed his post-graduation MTech in Technology and Development and PhD from IIT Bombay. So, with these few words, I'll hand over the session to Dr. Jay Krishnan. So please take over the session.
Start the video for some time. Okay, are you able to see me in the session? Hello, everyone.
Yes, sir. We are now we can see. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Jay Krishnan from NPTEL IIT Madras. So, in today's session, I'll be talking more about what are the changes that is happening in online space from a student's perspective. I work on the other side of online space where we create courses, we try to promote faculty. I think this is like the second student specific session that I'm doing, wherein I try to look at what all opportunities existed. What does this mean for online space now that lockdown and other things are happening? Before I start my presentation, can I know how many people have logged in now? Okay, I see that it is 27 participants. Okay, so I hope, yeah, so the numbers are increasing.
What Sir, actually, it's also live on Facebook. So, people will watch there also.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people are watching in Facebook also, then there is something that I wanted them to start off with. I first want to see how many of you are using what device. And this I'm going to do with the help of a device called Mentimeter. So what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. Share my screen. One second. Try to see what the presentation is not getting shared.
You're not able to share the screen, sir?
No, I don't see my Google Chrome presentation in the screen. So let me figure a way out. Because it goes into a different window. So Google Slides are not coming. Are you able to see the
Yes.
slide deck that I have?
Yes, we are able to.
Okay, great. So what
But it's not in full screen mode, but we are able to see.
Yeah, so I'm going to do in a presentation mode right now.
Okay.
Are you able to see the presentation now?
Yes, we are able to.
Okay, so what I think I'll do first is I'll quickly start off with the main part of it. So this is what the subject of today's session is. And I'm basically looking at online space for students. But before I do proceed further, I would want to see one activity. So it's an activity that everybody who is looking into the screen has to do. Go to www.menti.com and use the code 505102 to log into a presentation. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, we are able to see it. We are able to see the screen, sir.
Sure, sure, sure. So are you able to see the screen that it has started?
It says your PPT is live, like go to www.menti.com and use the code.
Okay, sure, sure, sure. So what I'll do is okay, I believe people are able to see my voting. So let me do a new share. Okay, seems like my screens are, my presentation screens are not coming in correctly. You're not able to see a Mentimeter slide, right?
No, we are not able to.
Okay, fine. Don't worry. But I hope everybody is able to access that particular website that I have shown. Yeah, because I see a lot of people voting for that. Yes. So I see five people who have already joined in. Four of them are using a smartphone. 5 of them using smartphone. Okay, so yeah, in case, so I hope now you are able to see the Mentimeter screen at your in your window, right?
You mean in our mobile, sir? In our mobile, you're...
Yeah, in the Zoom screen, are you able to see the Mentimeter?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So you get a question and you respond to it. That is what Mentimeter is all about. I just want to understand which all devices are people using to access this webinar. Okay, there seems to be just 2 people who are using a laptop or desktop, but most of the others are using either mobile. Majority of users are using mobile to watch this webinar. and there are some who are using tablet. Okay, let me now switch back to the session. So yes, I got an idea about how many people are using what devices. But what I want people to just have a look at is this quote. This is from Brian Tracy, who said that people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and to their lives will be the movers and shakers in our society for indefinite future. This he quoted much before a corona or whatever we are seeing right now. But I think it is relevant even in this time, and it is becoming even more relevant. So the idea of online learning space is that it provides you with the time, the flexibility, and what do you say, the features to go ahead with learning at your own pace. And that is what the major transition that you will all have to be aware of now, with online learning becoming more prominent. So like methods like these webinar are just one form of online learning, but some of these online learning mechanisms you are already familiar with. And particularly in terms of future workforce strategies, see, this is still going to be important, reskilling of employees. So you learn a subject maybe in 4 years of undergraduation, 3 to 4 years of undergraduation, 2 years of post-graduation maybe. But again, when you go to a workspace, it requires you to get reskilled so that whatever whatever are the company or the workplace specific details are, that gets added on to the employee, or which means any graduate who is joining the workforce. Which also means that it's not just the subject knowledge that you have to be really worried about. You also have to be worried about what are the additional skill set that you learn at the time of what do you say, the undergraduation. So whatever you're doing right now. Second thing is support of mobility and job rotation. Now this, I think in one form or the other, companies have experienced it right now. I mean, most of us are working from home. Even as we speak right now, I think your teachers, me, everyone. So all this is part of our work, right? And we are actually doing it at home. So now I think many companies and many organizations have realized that some significant part of their work, it does not require employees to be present face to face, real time, and collaborate. With sufficient infrastructural facilities of IT, you can do a lot of mobility, as in your you can move from one thing to another pretty fast, assuming that you have the skill sets. And again, the concept of one job, okay, that is, I think, is going to be obsolete from here onwards. I think now more the focus would be on having multiple types of jobs in your plate. I think very few companies will have what do you say, the employee affiliation. I mean, they would want employees who are mobile, or they can take them up for specific projects and then they move out. And it is basically based on their skill sets. Yes, collaboration with educational institutions, it will assume a new dimension, because now educational institutions can also contribute to the online learning space along with companies. So I am expecting a lot more companies to get tied up with educational institutions and co-offer skilling opportunities. Of course, it says target female talent, but it is also, it will look at much more involvement. So not just females, but also people with special skills or special abilities. These are also what we call as inclusion in workspace. These are also going to be future workforce strategies for companies. Now, this particular report was presented in Future of Jobs, the Future of Jobs report of World Economic Forum a couple of years back, I think 2016 or 17. I don't exactly remember the year, but this was done almost 5 years, 3 to 4 years back. But I think it has even more relevance now that we all have seen a different type of what do you say, job strategies, and what we call as fourth industrial revolution. This is what we see. And in online space, I believe most of the people will now be even more looking at these skills. I mean, these are like the indispensable skills that you need to achieve from any subject that you learn. How do you do complex problem solving? What are the processes? So it's not about solving a very, what do you say, a higher order mathematical differential equation. It is not about solving a mechanical engineering problem altogether. It is about what strategies do you apply to solve that problem. What are the, I mean, how do you take assumptions? How do you take, what do you say, how do you consider several known quantities? How do you break up the problem? I mean, how do you break a problem to modules, and how do you connect them back? All these are skill sets that you would require, and you can get it from any subject that you learn. That is the most important aspect of it. All these four skills, I mean, there are many more that has been listed. Even though you may see, I mean, it is seen as generic skill sets, I think more more courses in online space will now focus on these fundamental skills. I mean, yes, if an online course creators do not focus on these skills, then they are going to become obsolete. It's no longer about subject completion. It is no longer about what do you say, having 10 different modules or 6 different modules. I don't know what the numbers are these days, but it is not about ticking the boxes for each and every what do you say, activities that you do within the subject modules. I mean, finish unit 1, lesson 1, concept 1. No, that wouldn't be important. What is more important is skill sets like these: complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, people management. And I think the focus at the focus of each and every one in online space would be, one, getting trained on the job. So it means that you may have some fundamental skill set. So you may be mechanical engineers, you may be civil engineers. I mean, you would have completed any of these undergraduation skills, but how good you are to get trained on the job, that really would make a significant impact. And this is where the online learning space is going to be, what do you say, even more important now. So how can a company set up an online learning solution such that people get trained on their job? Updating. So the second part of it is updating academic curriculum to match these skills. This is primarily left to the colleges and universities on how do they map the subjects with the skill sets. Okay, and the most important, both for you as a learner, how do you complement your existing curriculum with skill-oriented courses? I mean, so it is not just now I can complete BTech in 4 years. Companies would be looking at, along with BTech, what did you do in online learning space? How did you look at developing your other skill sets? I think this would become important for what do you say, companies, and even in online learning space, these becomes pretty important. So to answer these questions, yes. So some of the answers to these questions, I think I have some solution for you. First one is updating your knowledge and increasing your breadth. That is getting trained on the job and complementing your skill sets. First is your knowledge. How do you upgrade it and how do you increase your breadth? So what I mean by increasing your breadth? Increasing your breadth means how much of other subjects have you covered? I mean, how many of the other topics that are available have you looked into along with your, what do you say, your traditional BTech syllabus, okay? So all of you would be doing what I would think as roughly, so I think all of you would be doing something like around how many 40 to 60 courses across 4 years. So now the important point is not about how many courses you did. It becomes even more important, what are the other courses that you did beyond your curriculum. I mean, there should be a healthy mix of whatever is there in the curriculum and other skill related courses that you can take in along with your curriculum courses. So for example, simple thing, I think programming, okay, programming is a fundamental skill that is now required across multiple domains, be it biotech, be it medicine, be it what do you say, commerce solutions. Knowledge of programming, knowledge of some particular software that does computations much more easily. So what I mean by programming is basically that automated system that that does the computation for you, and you have a you know how to manage that particular system, and that through some written instructions or set configurations that you have. So it becomes important now how much of these things, so the technical term for this is computational thinking. So how does your computational thinking help you in learning a new programming language and applying it? So along with many of the subjects that you learn, it is also good to have some basic or foundational programming courses, and also something like basic idea of algorithmic thinking, what do you say, stepwise thinking or algorithmic thinking, data abstraction. All these skills would give you a even more, what do you say, edge at the end of your graduation. So this is what I call by knowledge. And since I'm coming from NPTEL, of course, I will have to talk about the NPTEL courses that you can do. For that, the enrollment for NPTEL courses have already started, and you can basically you can basically now apply for enrollment for the July semester of NPTEL courses. The enrollment has started. The start date of courses is, I think, around July 20. But if you want to know more, please do visit swayam.gov.in. That is India's MOOC platform. You can search for the NC code NPTEL. You will see a lot of these course cards coming in, and you can select using the filters. You can select appropriate courses from it. But now when you select courses from it, look for what skill sets, how does it increase your breadth. Do not just look at, okay, my college said do one NPTEL course. No, that should not be the focus of a student at this point of time. You should look at, okay, looks like there is something called advanced computer architecture. Now, how does it help me? Do I have the prerequisites to learn it? Does it actually help me? Do I have the passion? Does it increase my portfolio? Does it increase, what do you say, my understanding about something which is supporting my domain knowledge? So these are some of the questions that you should be asking. And I think the biggest transition that is going to happen now is how you look at online courses, online course portals like NPTEL, Coursera, edX from here onwards. Many of you might be forced to take some courses, but now it's not just because institutes you are not able to go to classrooms, but it is also about this larger idea of companies looking at these skill sets. The fourth industrial revolution that we are part of right now, these are the skill sets demanded by companies across these domains. Okay, so you need a sufficient breadth for reaching those skill sets or achieving those skill sets. Okay, along with what are the important skills, the second thing is about your portfolio. So what do you mean by a portfolio? A portfolio is essentially like what you have achieved. Okay, it is a statement with artifacts of what you have achieved. And nowadays, companies look at both professional and social portfolios that a student makes, and hence it is important. So I believe many of you would be there in Facebook, Instagram, maybe TikTok, or even YouTube channels for that matter. So all these are social media, or it promotes your social identity. It shows a social identity of yours. And along with that, you have these professional things like LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is something that is mandatory that you should be doing at the start of your college. You should create a LinkedIn profile. You should try to join groups or communities within LinkedIn which are in your area of interest. You should also be part of something what I call as Stack Exchange. Okay, so if you have not heard of Stack Exchange, go to stackexchange.com, or look at, if you are computer science undergraduates, look at Stack Overflow. So all these social profiles, so this is a Q&A site and where you answer. There is also something called Quora, which is the social version of, it is the non-technical version of Stack Exchange, but Stack Exchange reputation will be considered slightly higher compared to Quora by technical companies. So having profiles in these and answering certain questions or asking questions, both asking questions and answering questions will give you sufficient reputations, which will become important. See, nowadays, even HR agencies do vetting of profiles through LinkedIn, social media sites like Facebook, and also some companies look at Stack Overflow and other things. If you're computer science programmers, obviously GitHub is something, public GitHub page of yours is something that would be looked up into. But I think it's not just restricted to computer science students. I think as any department students, you should have a GitHub page of yours where you try to upload certain stuff. It can also become your personal website. So it is important to have a web presence along with your portfolio. And what does these LinkedIn and other sites do? Whatever work that you have done, maybe you may have done a project, maybe you may have done certain activities. It allows you to record these. I mean, whatever are the digital artifacts, it allows you to show what do you say, a proof. So I mean, for you to complete the graduation, you get a proof of a certificate at the end of the graduation, right? So it is important that you look into these ideas, get some knowledge artifact created. So for example, if it is LinkedIn, it means you create a profile, you add all the mini projects, sub projects that you have done, the duration, the affiliation, all those things you can add over here. In terms of Stack Overflow or other Q&A sites, you have a repository of questions that you have asked or the responses or replies that you have given. So this comes into as part of your Stack Overflow or the Quora kind of portfolio. If you are doing a YouTube channel, so nowadays when you open up YouTube, you have channels for everything, right? You have channels for how to do a certain things, channels on software, understanding a software, channels for educational content, channels for even what do you say, entertainment or media related things. So whatever is your channel, having distinct channels for each of these and managing it, it becomes an important skill set that you will be having, and it is also part of your online learning or your online space. Okay, it shows your online identity, and it is important that you look into these what do you say, these aspects of online learning space, and uh, upskill yourself. I mean, create artifacts for yourself so that you are not left behind. Okay, so two important things. If you are using social media, please be wary of the language, the content that you share in social media. Companies or organization really pay attention to what content is being shared by their employees, and so it is important that you whatever your ideals are, whatever your personal opinions are, it is done in a very civilized manner. Of course, some amount of relaxations might be there, but again, if I were an employer and I was looking into your social media profile, I would not want to see a lot of profanity. I would not want to see a lot of what do you say, hate comments or those kind of posts where you obsessively idealize, and of course trolling. Okay, now that is considered, if you personally troll a set of I mean, if you do trolls, be very wary of what you are trying to troll. If it is a common point, then it is fine, but if the trolls go to a personal level, then it is considered bullying, okay, or harassment. And the workplace is not a place where you would want to I mean, it is not something that you would want a prospective employer to see, especially that, okay, you are trolling someone, that is not taken in a right spirit across. So if you have listened to it, if you're watching your Facebook live, do have a cross check of what all are your public posts, what all are your private posts, what all are available only to your friends. Do take a point to self-reflect and modify content if not already done. Okay. So again, from NPTEL perspective, when I speak, this is a digital artifact that we share that can be added to your portfolio, be it LinkedIn or Facebook. The NPTEL certificate that you have learned something from us, and these badges like gold, which means 90 and above, topper, which means you are among the top 10% or 1%. All these things would matter when your employer looks into your professional profile. Okay, so this credentialing becomes important in an online space. And as students, I think one important thing is, okay, how do you manage your credentials in your portfolio becomes an important aspect. Another important thing, when you are transitioning to online space, the opportunities that exist, peer connect, industry connect, internship opportunities. So all these are very important, and it is important that you make use of it. So peer connect means colleagues who are from different, I mean, students, it could be students, it could be budding people from similar interest. So I'm generally talking of a friend or a colleague in an online space by the term peer. Okay, so the developing the peer connect, being in a group, that becomes very important in online space. How do you form your groups? How do you form your discussions? All this becomes an important aspect of how you could land up in a job, or how you could lose a job that you got. Okay, being in the right group, discussing the right things, it is very important. And it is also important that you also maintain some amount of industry connect. So I'm not talking of, okay, go and friend a person from industry. No, that's not what I meant. What I meant is, if there are industry relevant topics, you should be in that discussion group. Okay. You could be a passive observer. That's absolutely fine. You don't post anything. You don't comment on anything. You just read through the posts. Even that is okay as you start off. But being in this, I mean, making this connect is very important in this age. And now online space provides a lot of avenues for students to do all these things. Also, it can open up opportunities for internships with these industry, with the industry of your choice. So from NPTEL side, if you look at it, in terms of Peer Connect, we have the largest crowd in India attending our courses. Our typical enrollments are around 18 lakh to 19 lakh every semester. And I believe it is going to increase because there is some amount of credit transfer opportunities for universities these days. And I think because of COVID, now universities will look more into credit transfer opportunities. Yet another important thing that we have is NPTEL Industry Associate. So the moment you are part of the NPTEL system, ecosystem, there are several industries who are reaching out to us, who wants us to look at people with a certain skill set. Okay, how many of your learners have completed, let's say, Python programming, courses related to Python programming with more than 70 marks, or let's say more than 80 marks? These are certain questions that regularly our industry associates ask us, and we are also forging new industry connections, wherein we see a lot of opportunity for learners. So many of the industry people are also available in our online courses. So we have people at the level of vice president or president of a company joining courses. We have chief technical officers taking courses. So the moment you are in a course and you participate well in the discussion forum, and this is what I meant by the industry connect and peer connect. You participate in the NPTEL discussion forum, you ask good questions, you get noticed immediately. All these are public groups, which means it can be linked back to your public profile or technical profile in some way. You can make it part of your website because it's a question that you ask or a response that you give, right? So yes, of course, there are certain ethical things that you have to know. You should not reveal too many stuff about it. Personal information should not be shared, etc. All those things are there. But even without that, your name, if within a course you ask good questions or you answer some good questions that are coming in, that will be noticed not just by the course instructor or the course team, but by your peers in the course as well. And who knows, because it is an open online course, you can have somebody as high up as a president of an organization learning along with you. Because see, the biggest realization that people are getting is that learning is a lifelong process, and online space is here to help you achieve it. Okay, so which means that you could, I mean, just for example, now you have put this as a Facebook Live. Who knows? There may be some people who are part of organizations who are watching this particular webinar also on in Facebook Live or the other medium. Yeah, so it is important that you register yourself in the right way in these groups. Okay. And yeah, so how do you do it in online space? You first enroll in the course, participate in various activities. Depends on the provider, online space provider. This process is very specific to NPTEL, but I think some variation of it is there for all the other online course providers. It's not just enrollment that is important. You should have some verified certificate coming from certain set of courses which are like very crucial for your skill set. I mean, what you're looking at skill set. So having this, even though you may have to put in certain amount of money, it is worth having these certificates. And where NPTEL is having a higher edge compared to the other course providers, the charge for an NPTEL certificate is very nominal. It's just 1,000 rupees if you're writing the exam. Otherwise, it is completely free. Okay, so if you're writing the exam, it's just 1,000 rupees per course. Learning is absolutely free. All the assignments, all the participation, you will get it for free. The prices of certification, I believe it is not too much when you actually compare dollar charges provided by other course providers. So somebody like edX or Coursera, they may charge you 3,000, 4,000 for a course certification, whereas NPTEL charges, because it is a Ministry of Human Resources Development project, it is nominal. It is looking at what the country requires, and I think there is a very good platform in front of you to start off your transition to online space. So do not just wait. This is the right moment. The enrollment, so this semester we have 400 plus courses getting offered across multiple disciplines. So go to swayam.gov.in, look for NPTEL, look at the courses that have come. These would be like the first step that I would advise. And yeah, so this is till now 17 plus domains. Now the number is like 1,600 plus courses. We have 80 lakh plus enrollments overall. This is how the growth has been for NPTEL for the past past 5 years. But what I'm more focused about is the NPTEL domain certification. This is something that is new that we have started. So maybe let me take a moment to show you the domains that we have. So nptel.ac.in is our website, and we have what we call as NPTEL online courses. So this gives you the full set of courses that are available with us. The important thing over here is the domain. Okay, so yeah, so we have domains created for multiple disciplines. Okay, aerospace, biotechnology, bioengineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, computer science, electrical engineering, for faculty, for management domain, mechanical engineering. So let me just look into mechanical engineering. So you have something called computational engineering, which means you have to, so what is a domain? A domain is nothing but a set of courses. So it is not just an individual course, it is a collection of courses. Some have been marked as core, some are marked as electives. For each of the domains, you should have a combination of core courses and elective courses certification. The duration of the certificate, the courses that you take should be in total up to 50 weeks. But what is more important, so let me go to click more info. So all these courses are available over here, the elective courses. So out of the 5 courses, you have to complete any 3. And out of the electives, so we have around 9 electives. So out of that, you have to select any 3. Whatever is coming up in the July 2020 run, it is over here. You can enroll over here. The thing is, you have to complete a domain course within 3 years. So typically, 3 years to complete certification, and these courses have been looked into based on what industry requires and what research requires. So we looked at both industry specific courses and research specific courses. So having a domain certification from NPTEL will give you additional weightage beyond just one certification courses, because here you get a collection of courses on a specific theme that industry requires. Okay, So this is what we would say. So based on which year you are in, okay, what should be the focus specifically in terms of NPTEL courses or generic courses? So in your first year, what you should get familiarized is how does online courses work. Each platform has their own ways of running online courses. So it is important that along with your regular curriculum, in the first year, you get a taste, get a flavor of what online learning is. In years 2 and 3 and 4, you should focus more on technical courses from allied disciplines. And ideally, in the final years, you should look for open electives. That means increasing the breadth. So till year 2, you may be, year 2 and year 3, you may be getting your grips on the domain that you are currently studying. But at least in year 4, you should look at how to get more breadth. I mean, if I'm a mechanical engineer, let me take a couple of courses from computer science engineering and biotech engineering. Because see, in real life, the problems are not just a mechanical engineering problem. You should apply certain, I mean, it is all interdisciplinary problems that we solve in real life. So it is important that you look into the other courses skill sets and also work on it as you move across the 4 years that you are in. Yeah, so that's basically it for the session that I had planned for you. I would be welcoming questions from all of you, if you have any, so that I can answer them in the subsequent section. If there is a clarification that you require as part of this, feel free to use the chat option or unmute yourself and raise the question in this platform. So yeah, so KCG team, that's all what I had for presentation. I hope
participants, if you have any questions, you can please post in Q&A so that we can post it to the speaker today.
Sir, I have the question.
Yeah. Tell me, sir.
Sir, how the NPTEL courses, by doing the NPTEL courses, how we will get the opportunity to enter to the industries, or what is the placement opportunities?
Okay, so what are placement opportunities for NPTEL? So what we have done, so see, one thing is for sure, we cannot assure any student placement, right? What we can give them are opportunities. So couple of things that have happened in the past couple of months is some of the industries have come to us asking us to filter resumes. Okay, so we are doing a lot of outreach in terms of industry associate, also in terms of skilling up our learners. So one important thing that we have seen in the past couple of months is some of the industries have come to us with a specific set of requirements. I mean, I'm looking at undergraduate students who have done, who have these fundamental understanding. I mean, they're not looking at expertise, they're looking at understanding. So what we do is from our NPTEL certificate DB, we actually select. So at the time of enrollment to NPTEL courses, we ask, can we share your details with prospective employers? So if somebody has selected yes to that, then we will filter it. And if it fits into the requirement that the company has asked, we will forward this to the companies. Certain people have also reached to us to do the first level screening for their hiring part of it. We have done a couple of such exercises for a couple of industries. In fact, even colleges have also come to us and asked for increasing, I mean, for their IT support team. They have come and asked us, can we look at a certain set of people who have done these courses so that I can induct them into our IT support team. So one thing that we look at is if a learner has done minimum of 2 or 3 NPTEL courses with sufficient mark, I think that is a resume that we will definitely do. I mean, that will definitely pass our initial filter. So one thing that you have to look up is if you're doing these courses, then do it really well, score above 70 or so that you can be in the radar. Okay, that is one thing that we do. See, we cannot, I mean, like any other college or institution, we cannot assure placement for anyone. It is still dependent, the company would still do their own interviews, their own separate screening processes. But what we can provide the student is that foot in. I mean, they can at least get a foot in and get their resumes looked up by companies seriously. I think that is where the NPTEL courses would really help students.
So how do you, I just have one more question.
Sure.
How do you see the difference between Coursera and those courses and NPTEL courses? Can you just give us, highlight us what major difference you see?
Yeah, so so there are a couple of things that when you look at Coursera, edX, or any of these high-profile platforms are giving, and the NPTEL platform is giving. There are, of course, one is the technical difference. One is that Coursera, edX is more of what you say, catering to a business model. Okay, it works on a business model that you enroll yourself, you get certified, you pay for your certification. We give you the best access to the best quality teachers. Okay, now this is what the model of any of the online learning providers are. And there is no harm in it. Okay, absolutely nothing wrong in it, because they are also, I mean, they have to sustain themselves, right, at the end of the day. What NPTEL is, however, is, I think the focus is on quality learning. Okay, the focus is on quality learning. We give you access to the quality professors from India for learning at free of cost. Okay, that is where the significant difference lies. And of course, we have not looked at customizations to a great extent like what edX or Coursera do. I mean, open courses at any time, open assignments for any time. No, that's not what we are focusing on. We are focusing on how can this be integrated with regular academic work. That is where our focus always has been. I mean, as teachers, as institutions, they struggle to get electives and other kind of bouquet of courses brought into their system. I mean, they may not be able to do very deep conceptual explanations in a regular classroom, okay, or have enough professors to give offer electives. Now, this is a place where colleges can think of taking NPTEL courses as part of their extra or supplementary stuff, and teachers can build on top of that. I mean, for each of the courses, teachers can work on creating additional materials. So for example, let me just show you something that we just now did. And it is something like this is some that we are focusing in the current semester, what we call as content augmentation. Motilal sir has also done one part of it initially. So we had what we call as a Spockathon, a competition that we ran. And the idea was, in a day, a lot of teachers who were shortlisted by what we call as NPTEL local chapters, they came up and they created questions for several NPTEL courses. The questions could be in-video questions, or, so for example, let me take a list of questions. So for example, yeah, so we created a content. So all these are NPTEL video content. But what we did was we asked teachers. So teachers like this who are vetted by SPOCs, they came in, they created MCQs, short answer questions, They created learning objectives based on this video content. Okay, so look at this. So all these questions have been created by different people. They have created learning objectives. So it is thought of as a what do you say, a parallel system that, see, the same thing you can run in your own colleges also. This is just a simple Drupal website with some minor modifications. You could ask your students to develop a website like this. So which means that more and more people become part of it. So see, the idea of NPTEL courses in general is empowerment. And along with that, we give a validated certification. So you have done something, you are part of a local chapter, you do consistent performance. We try ways in which we can acknowledge it. NPTEL certificate is one important thing which comes by learning, but you can do a lot more stuff other than getting a certificate. As a learner also, you can participate in question creation. So this is, the idea is to engage learners, and more number of these questions, we will ask people to create these and upload them in this website, so that we can have a parallel content like the nptel.ac.in page, and we can recognize all these people. That is something that we are trying to do. So we started it 2 years back, but unfortunately due to several other things, we were not able to move ahead. But I think in this semester, we are explicitly focusing on that.
Yeah, that's a good, participative learning will be a much better thing. And a few suggestions or requests, I should say. The final exam question papers, we don't have a solved or a solution for it. Okay, of course, that is one difference, in fact, we find between Coursera and here, or edX and here, because once we go wrong, if there is a solution for it, it will be helpful for all of us, to learn the mistakes.
Yeah, so the specific reason why we are not opening up the question bank is then it becomes an industry of its own. I mean, all teachers complain that your students go to the guidebook and that is what they do at the end of the day. I mean, it is a conscious decision, and I think we will not change it. Because at the end of the day, we want learners, not people who can do pattern matching. We don't want people who want to do, see, if you want solutions, after the end of the exam, you can actually sign up and ask for the answer key. I mean, the exact answer key wouldn't be there, but the different options would be there. And of course, you can write to the course instructor personally. Say that I tried doing this question and I did this. Your course instructor and his or her course team will be more than happy to answer to you. I mean, it should not be done in a public forum. It should be done at a more personal level, so that they will be able to answer to you the validity of the credential is really dependent upon how well the system is, right? And by protecting the question papers, protecting the questions, what we are doing is we are ensuring that if an NPTEL certificate comes out, it actually carries a value. And that is what even companies are recognizing. I mean, yes, I completely understand it from a learning perspective. Having worked out solution is important.
No, in fact, my point was like not before the exams, but after the final exams, if the exam question paper solution.
So this could have been done if we had only one exam. See, the problem is the same, we may rerun that course again and again and again. And I mean, being a teacher, you know that within a subject, the pool of questions that you can ask in a final question with 3-hour duration, with all multiple choices and other things are very limited, and you still have to be creative in it, right? Now, if we open up every question bank that we have, then we will not be able to run courses for certificate, right?
Yeah, that is, and one more request. Actually, this during this pandemic, exactly, this is the time when all our students actually wanted to do the NPTEL courses, though we were like, telling them managing their academics as well as the certification was a bit tough for them. But during the pandemic, they were, they wanted to do NPTEL, but when we tried, almost, the last date for registration was over just before the lockdown. So, during such time, if you could extend and if you could give us some
okay,
consideration.
So see, for that, if you want to learn from NPTEL, nptel.ac.in, okay, in that we have the entire course videos archive. I mean, we are still open and transparent in many of the aspects. Okay, so if you go to nptel.ac.in, so let me just show you that part of it. Share my screen. So this is our website, and in that you have what we call as NPTEL courses. So primarily all the content inside these courses, you can actually click on it. Sorry. Oh, looks like this is a new one. Sorry. Let me just go to yeah, so all the content that is as is in our course modules, the same is available over here. Okay, it's absolutely free. You can learn it. Of course, it doesn't have certification. But see, if people want to learn, we are not stopping anybody. Okay, and it is available right in our website. And we always, so we have announced it to all SPOCs. We have announced it to all the teachers, saying that all our course contents are available in nptel.ac.in, and you can go and learn. And see, as soon as this course comes for certification next time, it will be easier for your students to take these courses along with their regular curriculum courses. And what we have to also realize is that be it pandemic or not, you and I have only 24 hours. Okay. And as colleges are running classes, there are other things that are at home. The time that a person gets to learn is very less. I mean, yes, the initial enthu would be there, but to sustain, learn it in what we call as a self-regulated pace, it becomes really hard for students. So now we are in the fourth version, lockdown 4.0, right? So by this time, people would have been fed up. I mean, yeah, I don't want to see NPTEL. I wouldn't want to see Coursera. I mean, so the thing is, particularly in online space, what students and faculty as well as institutions have to realize is that it's not about certificate. The content being there is important, but it is the kind of actions that you do as a learner, as a teacher around it, that really would make sense. See, even by why we are not running an NPTEL course during this time, because it takes that much effort from our course team also. I mean, answering discussion fora, faculty have to answer these questions, the students. See, our TAs are scattered all around India. Some people even in regions where we don't have good enough connectivity. So when an NPTEL learner comes in and he asks a question and he doesn't get a response, I mean, it looks bad, right? Maybe in some courses, so we are hearing these complaints regularly. This course faculty did not respond to my question. So if we open up these things and students get a bad experience, then it doesn't go well with what our ideology is. So we are not stopping anyone from learning. All our content is free. It is absolutely free of cost. You can download this. You can even keep local copies of it. It is available in YouTube channel, our NPTEL HRD channel. All these videos are there. You can see it at your own pace. You can take notes of it. But what does a learner do to, what do you say, learn? That is the most important part. That we will not be able to do in a pandemic situation. Definitely in a pandemic situation, it is not something that we advise. It is not emergency response teaching, because that is not efficient. I mean, using online courses as an emergency response is not advisable. Online learning has its own ways and techniques through which you can get the maximum. If you use it in that format, then absolutely all our courses were open. I mean, yes, People may not be aware of it. Yeah, but all it required was log into nptel.ac.in. And we have responded to all the queries that were coming to our email saying that, yes, please go to nptel.ac.in, look into courses. This is where you see.
Yeah, in fact, we also got an immediate response when we wrote to you.
Yeah.
And also, in fact, all your webinar series also were very informative.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we were looking at other avenues of learning rather than learning from the course, because we know, see, on a given day, a learner can spend maximum up to 1 hour on other activities, right? And that is what we wanted to focus. We never wanted to burden students and drive them out of NPTEL. Okay. I mean, we want them to be part of NPTEL throughout. So it is important that we also take conscious calls during this time.
And in fact, we have, as you suggested, the local disk, we got it from IIT Madras NPTEL
Right.
chapter. Yeah, we got all the courses also.
And, sir, I have a couple of questions, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I see some courses in branches like automobile, aerospace, mechatronics, etc. are not available. I posted this queries to already. So if we include this this type of courses, it will be useful to the students also.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have looked into the, see, one thing that we are looking at is basically availability of our professors also, having a set of course TAs, and along with, it's not just the content delivery that we look at. We also look at availability of TAs to answer queries, create questions, and give a meaningful experience for the learner. That is one reason why we are in search. So you will see a lot more courses coming up in the upcoming semesters. The current semester, it's too early to say whether we'll be able to have automobile related courses, but definitely we have noted this point. We know that this is a gap and we are trying to fill it as soon as possible. I also see 3 questions being that were asked. Anonymous attendee has asked, sir, during an interview, what qualities does core company put on us, mechanical? Can you please give a brief on it? And what does a high profile mean? Okay, so the qualities is basically how you, so one, of course, your subject knowledge is definitely looked into, but more than that, how do you solve open-ended problems that comes from, let's say, mechanical engineering also? It really depends on what kind of interview you are going to, but I think across domains, your problem solving skills, the way in which you are able to connect your knowledge, that is really looked up. Okay, it's not about answering a question during interview live and successfully. It is about the steps that you go about to answer this question. That also is a significant skill that you need to imbibe in. That is a quality that you should have. Can you please give a brief on it? Okay, and what does a high profile mean? Okay, high profile means, I mean, it's a nomenclature. I mean, just like how you call IITs as high profiles, or let's say companies like Boeing or other. So I don't know, John Dew, maybe, I don't know, which all are the mechanical companies which you call as high profile, which we say as tier 1 or absolutely the big company. So that's what I meant by high profile. Okay. Autonomous colleges can include NPTEL courses as a credit. Like Anna University College is not able to include as credit for their students. For that, any solution or plan from NPTEL? See, I think this solution is soon going to come. I mean, COVID has come as a blessing in disguise for most of the universities as well as colleges who want to integrate online courses into their system. So, it is not that we were not in discussion with Anna University or ministry for this matter. Where it was stuck is, what are the modalities in which the conversion can happen? I mean, there is a syllabus that Anna University or any other university has, and there are certain courses. In our courses we cover maybe extra, maybe less. So how do you map NPTEL course mark to a particular course in Anna University? This is something that was always a contention. and it was really left to the university to devise a mechanism to it. Now that this has come, I think there will be enough pressure on universities to accept it, because now government is asking them to increase it from 20% weightage to 40% weightage. The only good thing for autonomous colleges is they have better control over the academic curriculum, so they can incorporate courses like NPTEL in multiple ways. Why most of the, so S. Madhavan is asking, sir, why most of the full assignment solution available in the internet? See, it's because practically anyone is learning. So I believe you were asking about, okay, as soon as NPTEL courses are out, you see somebody or the other solving these assignments and putting it up in YouTube channel and other things. The basic reason is, one is that the content are open. I mean, you cannot restrict a lot of these things in online space. It is absolutely open as we want. What we can try to do, if you are developing a solution thing or the other things, rather than focusing on the correct solution, focus on the methods. Let other learners also learn from you. And this points back to the point, I mean, this circles back to the point that I said during the session, creating a digital artifact or a portfolio. So where you have, okay, solutions, rather than solutions, ways to approach a solution being there in your artifact, your web page or your YouTube channel, rather than showing them what the correct answer is. Okay, so till that point, what you should be doing, and yes, the student also has to do one additional step. So we can only police to a certain extent in an open space, right? I mean, we are not, I mean, so unlike the Tamil Nadu police with the lathi and all the things to thrash all the people who go out during lockdown, we don't have those kind of, I mean, those number of people. We don't have those number of enforcers from our side. I think, but we hope that your own self-regulation. See, the moment you put up these live solutions, etc., in YouTube, it's just like how you do pirated movies, right? And the moment a company or someone else understands that, hey, you are trying to help in gaming a system, which means they doubt your ethical standards. Okay, so this is what I have a message for anyone who is watching this webinar live. Putting up solutions, etc., shows that you are going around the system, or you are making alternate ways in the system, which is not considered very ethical. But see, if you are fine with it, you believe that knowledge should be democratic, you do not believe in the idea of certification and other things, if that is your core value, absolutely no problem. Okay, I mean, NPTEL as an agency would have a different point to what you are seeing, because we are into the process end of it. I mean, yes, as a learner, as a teacher, I also think that knowledge should not be kept in closed containers, but it does not mean that when there is a system that is there to facilitate learning at scale that is already available, then you should not game that system. Try to game that system. Okay, be part of that system. Find ways in which you can be part of the system. I think that is a much more better way of doing this rather than posting solutions in internet. Okay.
Sir, I have one more question.
Yeah.
So generally students will focus more on the academic courses prescribed by the university. So if NPTEL courses are available parallel means for that courses, it may be even semester or odd semester courses, it will be useful to the students as well as the faculty. But all the courses are not available parallelly.
Yeah, so see, the availability of courses is really dependent upon availability of faculty and the course team to run it. Okay, that is where the availability is. So within a semester, we try to provide, and we should also have a balance of new courses and old courses. I mean, what we call as reruns. So there are certain reruns like communication skills or a specific elective in a department, in a domain that is common to, let's say, multiple universities. But yeah, the thing is, the availability and other things, we can only guarantee only if the course team is available primarily. The course team is available, definitely we will add this course. And we also look at how many times this course has been run. So we will look at a new faculty trying to offer a similar set of, something around the similar lines. So the one more thing that we have to understand over here is we are not a replacement to any university system. What we would want is universities empowering themselves, empowering their faculty to build content on top of NPTEL content and offer it online. Okay, so NPTEL courses are in CC by NCSA, which means Creative Commons by non-commercial share alike. So if you make the NPTEL content available, it has to be free of cost. You have to attribute it to NPTEL. That's all what you have to do. You can still host those content, but what as an institute you can do, you and your students, is build a small course around it. So let's say there is an even semester course of NPTEL in one of the course that you are interested in. But unfortunately, due to the semester load, you're not able to learn it. This content will be available in our NPTEL courses. So what you can do is, you along with other learners of that course, it could be your students or it could be your faculty, you can build a small online learning module and make it available to your students. I think this is the more sustainable way of learning, because see, you learn a lot more when you teach, right? And I think this is the tangent that we are looking at from, at least this is one important agenda point for us from here onwards. It's not about, so it's within 5 years, NPTEL has established itself, it has provided a suite of courses. Now, how does local chapters take it up? I mean, as an NPTEL local chapter, you have all the freedom to do a lot of these activities. Whatever you are developing, you can put it on a marketplace. Okay, you can say that, okay, we are running a supplementary course on this NPTEL course, and you can charge the participants for this. So you can develop business models around it also. I mean, yeah, it really depends on whether you want to go to the business part of it or whether you want the learning part of it. If you want the learning part of it, what I would recommend is put it in Creative Commons. Put the content in Creative Commons so that more people will come to know it, more people will be able to access it, and through their attribution, your name will also go around in that circle. I think that is where I think local chapters, teachers and learners can do a lot more work. Now that, okay, now most of you know how to conduct webinars, most of you know how to do online sessions. Learn a little bit about learning management systems, and then you will be able to do a lot more of these things more creatively. Of course, you have to respect the respective copyrights and the licenses associated with the resources. But once you do that, I don't think there is anyone stopping you.
Madam?
Yes, sir.
Madam, is there any, you want to continue, madam? Shall we?
I think if there is no question, we can close it, sir.
Okay. So I would say good afternoon to all the participants. It's a privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this webinar. I thank Dr. Jaykrishnan for accepting our invitation and delivering the challenging topic. It's a very informative session. Thanks for spending your valuable time, sir. Really, the session was useful for the students community as well as for the staff community. I hope students have understood the importance of computational skill, what the industry is looking for, how to choose online courses, how to improve our skill. So let me express my sincere gratitude to Director Madam, Principal, Associate Dean, Placement Officer, Automobile Faculty, DBIT for the constant support and encouragement to the webinar. I also extend my sincere thanks to all the KCG faculties and students for their cooperation. Thank you all. Stay safe at home.